Okay, so a few years ago, I remember checking my brokerage app at like 11 p.m. Don't ask why, I think I was avoiding something else. And I had somewhere around $34,000 saved up. And I did that thing we all do where you go, let me see how much the market made me this month. Like it's a little bonus check. $211. I'd put in over 1,000 of my own money that same month. The market gave me $200 for its trouble. And I remember genuinely thinking, is this even working? Like, am I just bad at this? Turns out no. I wasn't bad at it. I was just standing in the part of the process that nobody warns you about. There's a Buffett quote, you've probably heard some version of it, where he says the first $100,000 is the hardest. And when you're brokish and grinding, that quote sounds almost insulting, right? Easy for the guy worth $100 billion to say. But he's not being cute. He's actually telling you something true about how this works. And once you get it, it changes how the whole first few years feel. So let's get into why. Let's just run some plain numbers. Say you're putting away $1,000 a month, nothing exotic, just parked in an index fund averaging around 8% a year. That's roughly the long-run average for the S&P. We're not doing anything fancy here. Getting to your first $100,000? At that pace, you're looking at about 6 years, 8 months. Getting from $100,000 to $200,000, same amount, same $100,000 jump, takes you under 4 years. And going from $400,000 to $500,000, also a $100,000 jump. Also same monthly contribution, takes you under 2 years. Same person, same habits, same discipline every single month. And the later jump happens 3 times faster than the first one did. Nothing about you changed. What changed is who's doing the work. In year 1, it's basically all you. Your paycheck is doing like 95% of the lifting, and the market's contributing scraps. You are the engine. The account is just sitting there along for the ride, barely pulling its weight. Somewhere around 6 figures, though, something quietly flips. The pile of money you already have starts generating more than what you're adding out of pocket. That's the whole trick. That's the entire story, honestly. Before that point, saving feels like pushing a stalled car up a hill by yourself. After it, the car starts helping you push. Here's the part that actually breaks people, and it's not the math, it's the boredom of it. You're 2 years in. Balance is like $28,000. You check it, and this month the market handed you $187. You personally put in 1,000. The market's cut is less than 1/5 of what you did yourself. It just feels like nothing's happening, like you're mailing money into a void and getting a shrug back. This, right here, is where most people quit. Not because they ran out of money, because they ran out of patience watching a number crawl at a pace that doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. And honestly, that makes sense, because nothing else in your life works this way. You go to the gym for a month. You can see it. You study for a test. You get the grade back in a week. Wealth doesn't play by that clock. It runs on compounding time, not human time, and those 2 clocks are wildly out of sync in the beginning. Some people call this the flat part of the curve. If you've ever pulled up a compound interest graph, you know what I mean. It's basically flat for a stretch, and then it just bends and takes off out of nowhere. Everybody remembers the takeoff part. Nobody talks about how long you have to sit on that flat line, wondering if any of it's real. So if it feels like nothing's happening, what's actually going on under the hood? A few things, And honestly, the money is kind of the least important one. You're building the habit before you're building the wealth. Nobody frames the first $100,000 this way, but it's less of a savings goal and more of a training program. You're teaching yourself to live under your means without having to negotiate with yourself every single month. That skill sticks around long after the number changes. It's the exact thing that lets you stack the next 100K almost on autopilot. You're also paying what I like to call your stupid tax early while it's cheap. Nearly everyone panic sells at some point, or gets talked into some fund with fees buried in the fine print, or makes a call they regret. It stings when it happens on a $15,000 account. It's genuinely dangerous when it happens on a $400,000 one. Better to make the expensive mistakes while they're still small mistakes. And there's this quieter thing too. Somewhere around 6 figures, the financial world starts treating you differently. Better account tiers, lower fees, sometimes access to stuff that just wasn't on the table before. Doesn't seem fair, but that's how it works. Money opens doors mostly by existing. So back to that same $1,000 a month example. What happens once you're actually past the 6-figure line? At $100,000, at that same 8%, the market is now kicking in roughly $8,000 a year on its own, without you doing anything. That's more than half of what you're contributing from your paycheck. By $250,000, the market's yearly contribution starts outpacing your own monthly savings, even if you never once increase what you're putting in. This is what people mean when they say money makes money. It's not just a saying, it's a literal shift in who's carrying the load. You start out as the engine. Slowly, without really noticing the exact moment, you become the passenger, and the money you already saved becomes the engine instead. That's the whole reason the second 100K goes faster than the first, and the third goes faster than that. Not because you got smarter or more disciplined, because eventually you're not doing this alone anymore. Here's the uncomfortable bit. Most people never actually get to the easier part. Not because the math is wrong for them specifically, it isn't, but because they stop right before the curve bends. They hit that 2-year mark where it feels like nothing's moving, decide the whole thing must be broken, and either stop contributing, cash out, or go chase something that promises to speed it all up, which, more often than not, just loses them money instead. The people who actually make it to $1 million, then 2, then real generational money, they're not smarter than you. A lot of the time, they don't even earn more than you do. They just didn't quit during the boring stretch. They kept showing up during the exact years the account wasn't showing up for them. So if you're sitting there right now with 12 grand saved, or 40, or you're staring at an account wondering why 2 years of doing everything right barely moved the needle, that's normal. You're not behind. You're not doing it wrong. You're just standing in the slowest, most thankless part of the whole thing. But it's also the only part that actually needs you. After this stretch, the money starts carrying more of the weight than you do. The first $100,000 isn't hard because the math is complicated. It's hard because it makes you keep showing up for years before it gives you any real proof it's working. Get through that part, and the next 100 grand doesn't ask nearly as much of you. If this made the beginning make a little more sense, subscribe, because next video I'm getting into the exact point where your investments start paying you more than your job does.